The Hydra boss is one of the most champion and gear intensive modes in this game. Perhaps only Live Arena can do the hold my beer and be even higher, you know, with meta being such a small subset of champions. But Hydra not only needs the proper champions, it needs the proper combination of champions, and it needs it against different rotations. Now, in the last video we showed Kentham, but this time we're going to feature a support champion that takes Hydra from hard to absolutely easy. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Matt Capper. This is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. It is Hydra time again. This is the team that took me a little while to find the right combination. But my lord, when I did, it was an absolute game changer. I went from damages of 20 million and then something would go wrong to this one, 26 million, something went wrong, probably could have eked out to 30, but the damage that I received on the second run I did, which is the run I'm going to show you in a minute, was absolutely mind-blowing, and it was all because of a group of champions, but one champion in particular that just absolutely opened up the level of damage we needed. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this is a team of very specialist, Hydra specialist champions, but they are all epics. And I also want to say that only once before have I ever done this much damage, and certainly never with a brutal team. Actually, that's not true. I've done this damage a couple times, but this damage is better than some of my Lego teams that I put together for my normal Hydra runs. This was a phenomenal run. Did require a little bit of RNG luck on the heads, for sure, but nonetheless, very excited to show you an all-epic team. Brutal Hydra, not only one key, but one key with style, so let's get into it. All right, here's the team. We have the all-epic team. Now, this is the creme de la creme of epic champions, but sometimes, actually most times, just because these are some of the best epics you can bring into Hydra, doesn't mean you can put them together. But in this particular case, in this particular order, very specifically, this particular order, on this rotation, they absolutely dominated. So let's go through. We're going to watch a bit of it. I won't make you watch the whole thing. We'll skip through pieces. But I want to talk about what each champion is bringing to the table and why it is so critical to have them and why this works so well. The damage is obscene. So you see here. Now, first of all, well, let's talk about White Dryad Nia. It's one of my newer champions that I've gotten. This could act as a showcase on her because this is exactly where I think she should be. I've heard you can probably use her in Clan Boss as well, but you see here she's got 3 skills. All 3 of these skills are Hydra dominating skills. First, she has an ally protect with a strengthen. Now it is the baby strengthen, but let's keep in mind we're on brutal. On Nightmare she's still going to do okay, and we're actually it's actually a hard counter to the head of is it Torment? No, what's the head with the head of Anger? I don't remember what his name is. The big boom, and that strengthen actually mitigates some of that damage. Her A2 though is what makes her the ridiculous champion that she is for this mode, and especially with this team, is she can reset the cooldown by 2 and heal and cleanse a champion. So absolutely a linchpin in how much damage this team can do. While she doesn't do basically any damage, she allows other champions to do damage, most specifically in this particular case, the Husk. So the next champion you saw we had was Ugo. Ugo has the block and the decreased defense. This is something, by the way, I don't know if you do this or not, but a little tip for those of you who are maybe brand new at Hydra and haven't tried it. If you don't land the buffs, restart. I wouldn't do that after turn 5 or maybe, but like in turn 0, like you're in your first run, if Ugo, because there's 2 Force Affinity heads here, if she doesn't land everything on all of them, so all 8 buffs, just restart. It's only adding pain for the sake of pain, and you don't lose a key, so you might as well just regroup. I did do that a couple times, though. This time it was a straight run, but when I was doing other tests and other champions, we did that. So now she's, of course, has the decreased defense and the block buffs. Why is the block buffs important? Well, for those of you who don't know Hydra again, the Head of Blight has poisons. She also has a poison cloud. That poison cloud forces you to weak hit. The only counters to it are to block it, which we're doing, or to HP burn, which we also have. That's what makes this team good, is that there's a lot of backup systems. Just like with the Head of Wrath, see, I remember his name. The Head of Wrath, the Strengthen and Ally Protects helps mitigate some of the damage of the Head of Wrath. And the block buffs stops the Head of Wrath from putting his immunity and his reflect and his attack up and all that thing. So we've got multiple ways to deal with them. We also have a remove buffs from Geo. In this case, with the Head of Blight, we have HP burn and block to be able to deal with that head. So as you see here, we're also going to pick. So the Head of Mischief is another thing that's a hard counter with Geo, because Geo can actually target him for the HP burn. So now we can get the HP burn on him and deal the damage. Now, there's a very important thing you're going to see happen right away here again, and that's what made this damage so big. So Tagore is a healer and a reviver and a shield champion, and he is amazing. He is one of the most, I don't know if you can call him underrated, because people know about him, but he is underrated because of how much he can do. What he's doing is he has an increased speed, so we're going to get faster speeds, we're going to get more turns. On top of it, he's got heals, and he's going to be able to heal everyone. Now, Dryad actually reflects some of that extra heal back to the team, which means my team is virtually always full health when we get the heals. Especially, remember, Ugo's got heals as well. Between the two of them, they can just keep everyone alive and healed. That's that secondary, tertiary. There's got to be multiple levels to each of these champions to make them work together. But also, because we've got some AoEs, because we're hitting the Head of Torment, that's where our good friend Inquisitor Shamael comes in. And you see here, he's going to not only counterattack, but he's also, which is going to boost the turn meter of Geo. Now, I don't want to damage the Head of Torment with big attacks. I only want to damage the Head of Torment. You see there, all the buff blocks, so we don't get that stupid poison cloud. But if we did, we have Geo to counter that. Now, Geo is also in Relentless gear, but he's the lead. So every time Shamael hits the Head of Torment to increase the turn, or sorry, to remove the fear proc. So his big thing is he removes fear procs and any debuff. He'll counterattack whoever places the debuff. So he hits Torment. Every time he hits Torment, he boosts the turn meter of Geo, and then that means Geo just gets to put out more burns. And that's the cycle we have. So we have two cycles independently happening here, and you just saw the second one. The first cycle is Geomancer and Shamael working together to be able to put out as many HP burns as possible. We want to put out HP burn, if we can, on every head except the Head of Torment, because that's the one that allows us to keep cycling. Alternatively, and independently, we have Hydra Nia, White Dryad Nia. Hi. Oh, maybe she might be high. She's a wood creature. She's now going to decrease cooldown on our Husk. Our Husk has a 4-turn cooldown on his enemy max HP. So effectively, we're getting to use that every second turn, so long as we can get into this cycle. And that's exactly what we do here. Again, decrease accuracy is a nice added bonus. Now we have an HP burn. Now we have 2 HP burns up. So that means whenever the Head of Wrath hits, who's got that big hit, then we're just going to be able to reflect that damage back crazily on this team. Now, and you see there, both of them taking a ton of damage, and that allows the Head of Torment to live longer, even though we're going to hit the Head of Torment occasionally, we'll say, just to continue that turn meter boost. Also, the AoEs are obviously going to do it, but sometimes we make the decision to actually start hitting the Head of Torment. We just want to make sure there's a good gap so that the Head of Torment lives as long as possible. So that is the basics of the team, and then it's just rinse, repeat. This team is also very good, as you can see here. Look at that. We're already on our second AoE in 2 turns. It's great. Now, there are 2 heads missing. One is the Head of Suffering, and the other is the Head of Decay. The Head of Decay is the one that can cleanse. Now, we only brought Husk in, and that's because we know we're going to do a ton of damage on this first rotation, but we still have that opportunity for a taunt if need be. You could put Royal Guard in this. I did try this team with a Royal Guard. I didn't do nearly as much damage because once the Head of Decay comes out, you have 0 way to deal with them. So you just have to then try to rotate around him, and you often miss a lot of damage that you'd otherwise be able to do just based off of his taunt. Now, it's not 100%, so you still have to deal with that. As for the Head of the Head of Suffering, which is the one that does the ally protect, tons of defense. That's the worst one. But the fact that we can get Geo cycling through, that's your best opportunity, is to get Geo to get that HP burn on the Head of Suffering as soon as it shows up and just keep going. So you're going to take a look at this team, and for quite some time it actually runs at a clip of about a 1 to 2, which for an all epic team I think is pretty phenomenal damage. You know, if we can do 3 million at 6, and it keeps kind of going that way. So you're going to see here, again, it's just cycling through. Look, we didn't land the block here, but that's fine because we have the HP burn there, and we keep getting the turn meter boost. So boom, now we've got now we can reset on the HP burn there. We've got HP burn on 2 champions. After a while, we get it on 3 champions. Like, it's amazing. You see how we use the Head of Torment by using A1 attacks on the Head of Torment to continue to boost the turn meter. And when that Head of Wrath does his big hit, you can see even with the baby strengthen up and the ally protect, everything's good. Now, a little over the top, an extra little thing here is that our Tagore actually has a passive that reduces damage to champions under 50%. Well, because of White Dryad Nia's ability to heal everyone else, reflect some of the heals on her to everyone else, she actually is at or under 50% a lot of the time. So Tagore is actually, as a secondary skill, is actually helping her survive. Now, I did try this with Ursula instead of Tagore. The problem is we didn't have enough heals. This team is really all about the synergy and nothing more. Another thing to note is under any other rotation, this would have been way easier. But because I am all epic and I didn't have a combination of champions that could allow for a Head of Mischief target, and I didn't want to lose buffs, even though I do have the block buffs. I just didn't want to lose buffs. All these buffs help these people survive, and even if he steals it and can't put it on himself because of the block buffs, it's still a very potentially damaging theft. All these champions are at the perfect accuracy if need be and resistance to ensure that there's no steals. Now, you can still get 3%ed. We did get 3%ed on Nia. Probably the best champion to have it happen to her because she doesn't have the ally protect. She's ally protecting everyone else, so if she loses her buffs, it's not nearly as impactful as other people. So let's fast forward this a bit to turn turn 29. You see, as we've killed one, we were lucky we did get the Head of Torment back on the first kill there. That was a big part of it. You see the poisons, we didn't get good rotation, but we have those HP burns, right? Again, this is going here, and at turn 31 we're at 13, not bad. And then if you see here, by the time we get the head, now this is, we have the Head of Suffering. Notice how we're just keep HP burn, HP burn. That's all we need to do. And then now we have the Head of Decay. So we're gonna focus the Head of Decay. The Head of Decay is the champion we want that dead because we don't have 100% taunt, and we're obviously, you want to make sure to get it out of your life as soon as possible. But again, it's the same cycle, right? When you have the Head of Torment, you just keep tapping it to get more and more HP burns out more and more often. The more you get them out there, the more damage you're going to do. Now we can fast forward it to, let's see, there is a point where we don't have the Head of Torment up, but it's fine because we do have 2 different modes of supplemental damage. Let's see, see how we're really trying to focus out that Head of Decay, and there it's dead. Now we've got the Head of, see, we were unlucky there. We got the Head of Decay back after killing the Head of Decay. Oh, we got the Head of Torment twice in a row. That really helped with that damage. Look at that damage. So right here is our one key, is at turn, roughly, we'll say turn 83, 84. Easy time. There's no point we were ever in danger here. Keep running it through. I want to see that there was a point where Torment was gone. There, we're at 44 million. Everything good. That was our first death, by the way. And it just happened to be on a bad cycle, but we got her back up easily. Here, we're at 46 million with no Head of Torment. You can see we got the Head of Decay. We got the Head of Suffering, the worst possible. And we have the Head of Wrath. And after, once you get to this over 100, that Head of Wrath really starts getting scary. But we just keep going. We just keep going. It's not even a problem. We just kill the head of them. We were I was targeting the head of Wrath a little bit more than I normally would, only because at this point I didn't want him up. I didn't want that damage to deal with it. Then we got beautifully lucky for some bonus damage by getting that head of the head of Torment again, and as you can see, it just keeps going on forever. And then we'll play it here. We're at 62. See, the first problem didn't happen until where is it? 49. So 49 million is when this happened. And I mean, this is the worst part about the head of Suffering, is he takes a double turn, and he's got 9,000 defense or something like that. Some stupid number of defense. I don't even know. I just made that up. He's got 10 billion defense. On Brutal, the head of Suffering has 9,570 defense. And even with the defense down, that's still 50% of that. Does that mean it cuts it in half? Yes. I was just wondering because it could have been 50% of the... Anyway. So that, you know, he's still at like 5,000 defense even after that. And I just couldn't get the right rotation going. We had a dead that we had to get up, and then we just could not quite... We came close to saving her here. But that's at 50 million. We lost our debuffer and one of our healers. But this team is so resilient and so workable. As you can see here, we surpassed 60 million. We're at 206 turns. Now we're starting to get into trouble here. We don't have her. Now we've gotten our Geos eaten. That's very difficult. Very unlucky there, because we actually have two opportunities, if I recall, to taunt him, and we failed on both, and that just adds to the problem. We don't have debuffs, so my Husk is going to hit less. See, 2 taunts in a row, and not that it would have really mattered at this point, but this is the beginning of the end. And as you can see here, our final, our boy Tagore, you know, the one who died first was White Dryad Nia. She was the second last to die at the end. And then, of course, we finally get eaten. He actually doesn't die, he gets eaten. 62.16 million damage. Geomancer nearly 1 key, actually does, is 29.4, isn't it? So Geomancer 1 keys by himself. Husk adds another 22 million, and actually, because of the requirements of the gear, my Husk is under crit damage. We could have done a lot more damage if I just had a little bit better gear, if I was willing to actually more accurately steal a little bit better gear, because Husk is a little under leveled. We'll see what I mean soon. Ugo did nothing. Shamael, a nice 8.3 million. Again, he was a little bit under damaged, but not bad. Tegar and Nia. So the perfect team, the perfect combination, an easy Brutal 1 key times 2. And a fun team. The only downfall of this team was the fact that because it's Geomancer, you typically have to pay attention. I prefer just a manual Geo, because he loves throwing that HP burn down everywhere but where it should be. So overall, great team, amazing result from an all-epic team in Hydra Brutal. Now, while you've seen the run, let's take a look at the team here. Let's start... Get rid of all these silly legendaries that people use. Psh. Let's start with our Geomancer. This is the Geomancer we used. I guess by now we don't have to explain what all his kit does. You're just basically using the HP burn. The HP burn allows him to reflect damage. The reflect damage does a ton of damage because it reflects some portion of the damage and can proc War Master. So you can get a ton of damage off of this, and that's how he does 30 million. His masteries, very simple. I haven't even fully mastered him, but I put him in the War Master. We want those War Master procs. At some point, I should probably get it to maybe probably extend, I would think. But no hurry. No big deal. Doesn't need it. As far as his artifacts, we have him in Relentless. He's the only one we had in Relentless. And don't forget, we have Hydra battles, and I do have some build-up in the Hydra battle area from the live arena tokens. So the big deal here is, in order to have the maximum possible resistance and accuracy, you need 455 resistance and 355 accuracy. So he meets those criteria. The only thing that can come against you, really, essentially, is the 3% resist. The rest of his stats, 52k HP, 2500 defense, 213 speed, and of course the rest as we talked about. Also keep in mind, he was our lead, so he's giving us a 25% ally HP bonus in all battles. That's a big deal, especially for our healers that are using their HP to heal both Ugo and Tagore. So that's our Geo. Next up we have our Husk. That's not the Husk. That's the Husk. We have a Husk in just a, I guess, you know, a couple broken pieces and some perception. Our Husk was probably the least well built. We really we undercapped his crit damage. It is what it is. It's the gear I had. HP, good HP. We want survivability. I didn't really care about how much his A2 or his A1 hit. Never uses A3. It's just using that A2 and then back to the A1 until you get back to the A2 again. So, you know, we have a blessing for an increased attack. Probably not the way I would go, but I just don't want to change it. I think I should. The blessing you should have is the one that restores max HP, because it's nice to have, I would think. Oh, but he doesn't heal. I don't know. Whatever I have on the other one. 234 speed, 223 crit damage. This is where I feel like we didn't have enough crit damage, where we could have built higher, but I just didn't have enough gear. And then again, we have to have both resistance and accuracy, because he is debuffing with his A1, and obviously we don't want his buff stolen. So there's our Husk. As far as his skills, again, not even using that. This is just the enemy max HP, and this is just that 40% chance of placing a provoke. The masteries, we are using Fearsome Presence, which allows him an extra 5% on that provoke, and then just whatever other damage and defense we can get on that. You could argue to have him in War Master, but I just like that extra 5%. I think it really comes into play, especially on my other Husk here, who with the Fearsome Presence, he's also happens to be in Taunt gear. So, and this, yeah, Heaven Cast is the one, which debuffs placed by this champion's default skill will ignore a percentage of the target's resistance. Unfortunately, that's the one we have. Unfortunately, it comes with attack, but not the best case scenario. And I still did build them out for full. I actually honestly forgot to remove 10% from the resistance on the Head of Decay. That's my fault. I could have built them a little bit differently. So just keep that in mind when you're building your Husk. If you use Heaven Cast, make sure to calculate how much accuracy you need based on that. And technically, actually, I technically did on this guy, because you see he's my Nightmare Provoker and he's only 337. So anyway, so next up was Ugo. Ugo in broken pieces, whatever it takes to get the numbers. And here you've got 76,000 HP. You've got 3,100 defense, 252 speed. We do want her fast so that she can get more turns, especially when she gets the speed boost and we drop some speed decreases on the enemy. And again, 440 Hydra battles, 464 resistance, 361 accuracy, 256 speed on her. The next one up is Naya, or Nia, White Dryad Nia. Her skill, well, her artifacts, we've got that 82,000 HP on her, 3,000 defense. She is the one absorbing a ton of damage, so we want her to have more effective HP as possible. 254 speed. We did want her to get good cycle. And then as we look up through Hydra battles, you got 446 resistance, 358 accuracy, so she can land both her debuffs and resist. 258 speed. Away you go. And then we have our... Oh, sorry. Talk about her skills. This one, whenever this champion's healed, heals each ally except this champion by 20% of that heal. That was a big deal, because we have two healers that use their max HP. So her being able to reflect those two healers to deal even more, or to give even more HP heal on the rest of the team, was big. And because she didn't get that extra heal, she was always lower health than everyone else, which is why she has the most HP, and why she gets a really good opportunity to, at below 50%, Tagore's passive kicks in. So a good overall synergy there. She also has the Ally Protect with Strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown. This helps everyone survive the Strengthen, helps reduce the Head of Torment's damage, everyone's damage, but especially his. It's a hard counter. Even though it's the baby Strengthen, still did yeoman's work in this particular fight. This is the one. This is the thing that makes her different than everyone else. Not only does she have crazy good support skills, but she also has the ability to reduce the cooldown of a target skills by 2. But look at all this. Removes all debuffs from a target ally. Heals them by 40% of their max HP. And if it's not this champion, decreases the cooldown of all the target skills by 2 turns. That's how we use Husk. Husk got a 4-turn cooldown. He uses it, then she goes down. It's a 1-turn gap, and then he gets to use that enemy max HP again. You can also use this if you're getting into trouble. Say you're low on health. We'll use it on Ugo. Use it on Tagore. Say you need a revive. Use it on Tagore. Say Husk is dead, and you just use Geo's HP burn on someone else. Reset the HP burn, the Geo, right? So you can use this in multiple ways. If she's near death, use it on her. Very multiple use system, and that's really what made this comp possible. This is one of the linchpins. There's 2 linchpins. This is a big part of it. And then just as cherry on top, you've got the decreased speed at a pretty good 50% chance. You know, that decreased speed just helps you get more turns, more kills, more everything. Love White Dryad Nia. I'm so happy I built her, and I can't wait to insert her into a normal team with some legendaries. You know, imagine a Mishinaki and her together. I can't even, right? You know, if you have an Acrizia, I guess Acrizia is just OP on all of her abilities, but I imagine this would just make her even more OP. White Dryad Nia, top tier champion. Can't wait to use her in, you know, maybe a legendary laden nightmare team. Next up was the Inquisitor himself. His stats, let's do this ahead of time. 45,000 HP, 2,600 defense, 235 speed, 253 crit damage, a little bit better crit damage obviously than I had on my Husk. And then of course 456 on the resistance. We're not worried about his accuracy. We're not using any of those skills. Big thing here is he removes fear. He fills his champion's turn meter by 7.5 in every critical. On top of that, does this attacks one enemy 3 times, ignores 25% target's defense, plus another 25% for each buff on this champion. I really didn't pay attention to this and set it up for this. I just used it whenever it was up, and really I probably lost about 30,000 damage each time I used this and didn't have full debuffs on myself, or full buffs on myself, sorry. But keep that in mind. And then his A1 is where we just get that good cycle. All this is a lot of attacks. What this means is, anyone debuffs you, he's going to hit them with his A1. 50% damage, can't critical. So War Master procs can happen, so that's a good thing. So he can proc Giant Slayer, sorry. So you can proc multiple Giant Slayer procs on this counter attack for however many debuffs you go on there. You know, when the head of Blight throws those poisons out, it can be 10, 12, 14. It's actually pretty good damage. It actually adds up. But more importantly, when you're hitting the head of Torment, you hit the head of Torment, it causes another fear proc. Another fear proc causes another counter attack. And what happens is he boosts the turn meter of your main character. It says here the ally, but it's not true. It's your lead ally. So that's how we were able to get Geo to cycle through his turns so often and get so many HP burns up, because his turn meter is being boosted by Inquisitor Shamael every time he removes a fear proc and then counterattack. So it's a wonderful little skill that makes it so much fun in the comps where you can get that Inquisitor firing off quite well, and you get good rotation and get that head of Torment back again and again. His masteries, Giant Slayer, just because that 3-hit A2, the fact that A1 can hit so many times, that's where his A1 on that counterattack is doing 0 damage, other than when this War Master procs. So very good there. And then we have the chance for Retribution. Also keep in mind, he can strip buffs and on his A1. And if you needed that, then I would suggest obviously putting him for accuracy. And then the last, but certainly not least, the other linchpin of this team is Tagore. This guy is amazing. And we already knew it. Already done a video on it. Hell, Hades did a big feature on it. He was in the clan boss battle. But I can't re-stress enough how good this champion is. His stats: 78,000 HP, 3,300 defense, 251 speed, 432 resistance, needs no accuracy. Keep in mind, drop this up, there's that 455 north of 455. Then we have 255 speed. His skills. Decrease damage received to all allies 50% or less. That's great. Anytime you're low on health, he's going to help them survive. 10% damage reduction. Big deal, especially against the head of Wrath. Revives all dead allies with 30% HP and a shield buff on all allies, 20% of this champion's HP. There's nothing worse than reviving an ally just to watch that ally die again. But this gives you that shield. That shield gives you a chance to get around to your healer or back to him to heal or whatever the case, damage with leech, you name it. On top of it, attacks all enemies, places a 30. I forget, you know what? We didn't show Ugo. I'll get back to Ugo. Sorry. Attacks all enemies, places increased speed buff on all allies. So he's increasing your speed, which means more speed, means more hits. It's great. Heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP. Keep in mind, Dryad's now taking 20% of that heal on her and pushing it back. Now he's got decent health. If I could get him more health, the better. Definitely you don't need that high resistance, which makes the team even easier to build. If you have a head of mischief target, a champion with more buffs than everyone else. I couldn't reliably have that with this team, so I had to go the way I did. So, you know, you can build this champion north of 100,000 easily, 120,000. And then finally, this is just the icing. Again, attacks one enemy 2 times, places increased defense buff on the 2 turns the ally with lowest current HP. That is most of the fight was going to be Nia because she doesn't get that extra heal. So it makes her tankier. And she's got ally protect. So now you've made her tankier for ally protect, which means she can survive longer, which means she can help the rest of the team survive longer, including Tagore, that can turn around and heal her and make her tankier. It's a beautiful synergy, and the support duo is absolutely obscene. As far as masteries, you could argue debatable, but I went down heals. The more heals, the better. We want timely intervention because the quicker we can get that. We also wanted this, the turn meter with you get critical hit. If an ally gets critical hit, just to speed him up, get him the opportunity to get back to healing and reviving or whatever it is he may be doing. So overall, probably one of the best Hydra kits among epics in the game. Him and Nia together, absolutely obscene. Now, what other champions did I use and try, and why did they fail? So the first thing I want to talk about is I briefly removed Tagore for Ursula. As you can see here, we had pretty good stats on her. I still have her. I didn't have to steal any of her gear. That's the stats we were using. She's got a great kit for Hydra. She had the decreased attack, which I was worried that I didn't have on this particular team. She also had an increased attack. We didn't really have champions taking advantage of that, though I did have Royal Guard at some point. We'll talk about that in a minute. So technically the increased attack would have really helped a little bit, but we're really concentrating on HP burn and enemy max HP. So the increased attack wasn't a big deal, but that decreased attack was very helpful. She also has an increased defense and strengthen, and it's the big strengthen. Why didn't she work? Because if we take Tagore out, we lose heals. And if we take Naya out for her, we lose ally protect and that reset piece. So while she is an absolutely amazing champion for this mode, on this team she wasn't quite as synergistic. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I forgot the Ugo. Here's the Ugo real quick and dirty. Maybe I did already show Ugo and I'm losing my mind, but 76,000 HP, 256, 464, 361. Skills, the big deal here. This isn't ever going to happen. If it is, it's too late. But I've actually seen Hydra teams use it and actually survive in the Hydra thing. So that was once in a blue moon. But this is the big thing here is that she can heal for 20% of champion's max HP. So we want her lots of HP plus again. Naya's reflecting that. Why most people use her, obviously, is the decreased defense and block buffs. This is very strong. 100% chance on 3-turn cooldown. But that leech is actually also very good because it's, again, supplemental health to help heal your team when in between. I also use Miracle Heal on her, which gives her more HP, but it also gives a 50% chance to restore some max HP when healing. So it's a nice added bonus for her. Her masteries, we don't have any, believe it or not. This is one of the champions I haven't had a chance to get around to doing her masteries on, but I didn't want to remove all my gear from my first Ugo build. So we just went with it. I decided let's try it, and it worked. So we good. Now let's talk about other. Sorry. Now let's talk about other champions that we had tried and wanted to use. So the first one, obviously, we talked about was Ursula and why it didn't work. We also tried Skimfos. Skimfos was a very interesting. I tried putting him at lead, and the advantage, he's actually, again, got a really good kit for this. He can heal his champion, plus he can he gets this chance to put the increased damage, increased attack on himself if he has enough debuffs. Plus he's got the decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown, and he transfers debuffs onto a head, and he has a decreased speed. So everything about this, great synergy. The problem was he'd be better if I had a Head of Mischief target, because I had to put everyone in high enough resist. He wasn't using his full kit because he didn't, on this one, he didn't transfer anything from other champions because no one had any debuffs. And because no one had any debuffs except for maybe True Fear, which he won't transfer, it really made him less useful. He does do good damage. I think there is an opportunity for him with White Dryad Nia and maybe a champion like you put it just for easy, Krisk. Right? You have Krisk who puts those extra buffs on himself, and then you can put everyone else low resistance, and then if they get the poisons on them, he can take the poisons and then cleanse them. And it works really well. The only thing is, because of all the because I kept losing buffs, and because, you know, it wasn't 100% block buffs because of the Force Affinity, it just wasn't worth using him. But absolutely, maybe in another rotation, I'll bring Skimfos back in. Talk about a 0 to hero for me. I hated this champion when it started. Now I love him. Another champion, we did kind of briefly do Godseeker Neri. I don't have her in the gear. I didn't have her built as part of it. I have 2 of them built, but they're built for other modes that I don't want to mess with. You can see the 2 built there. Probably would work, although I still think that who are you going to replace? Tagore? I mean, I think Tagore revives better than her, plus the speed boost, but she does have kind of 2 revives. I think you don't want to die. I know that goes without saying, but I think you're using a Neri when you know you're going to die because she's got 2 opportunities to revive. I think, you know, if you build the team tanky enough with enough synergy and you don't want to die, she's not quite as strong as other possibilities. Now, she does have that great increased duration of all buffs and all allies, and decreases all buffs and all allies, or all enemies. But overall, just wasn't quite the synergy I was looking for. Akemptum, we did use him in the last video. This video, I wanted to use him again, but then I realized, A, we're not starting with the Head of Decay, so this whole taunt mechanic. Secondly, the starting 4 heads, only 1 allows poison. So it really limits the ability for Akemptum. I do like, of course, that he can use the throw out that hex so that you can target the Head of Mischief. But again, because only 1 head had the ability to land poisons, it made him less effective in this rotation. So we didn't go with him. We absolutely tried Royal Guard, and we had Royal Guard, you know, built really well built, good resist, way more crit damage, decent survivability actually for him, and speed. Again, between him and Royal Guard, or between him and Husk, he does more damage than Husk, but Husk has that extra ability to taunt. So at the end of the day, it just made more sense to use Husk instead of Royal Guard. It did make it harder to build because I needed the resist and the accuracy. I didn't use this Royal Guard with accuracy. You absolutely, if you can, accuracy on Royal Guard is great. The other reason is he's got that decreased speed, but I already have decreased speed. He's got a decreased defense. I already have that. So his other skills weren't as integral, so I tried him without accuracy. At the end of the day, this was close. I got to about 26 million when we had a random catastrophic event. So probably could 1-key it with Royal Guard on the team. But if you get that Head of Decay early, it might actually ruin your day. But Royal Guard is absolutely a possibility. And I think that is all the champions I used. I did consider Whisper because Whisper does allow you, because she self-buffs, she could actually be the Mischief target. The problem is Whisper can't target everyone because of the Head of Mischief, who's often the one consuming champions. Which, if you lose your, say I put her in Royal Guard, and I lose Royal Guard, or I put her in Geo and I lose Geo, to Mischief, I'm pretty much screwed. So I think she's a better pairing with a Kemptum, and maybe we'll try that in the next rotation or a different rotation. But on this rotation, Whisper... Also, Whisper is pretty flaky. She's pretty squishy. So her against the Head of Wrath isn't always the best combo either. But definitely, I think there's opportunity to use her with a Kemptum. So she's definitely strong. So that's it. That's all the different team. There's the different ones that I used. What do you think? 61 million. Not bad, if I do say so myself. Not to humble brag. But really enjoyed building this team. If you would ask me yesterday at about 4 p.m., I would have said, why did I ever do this? I hate myself. But at the end of the day, we got a really good team together that can one-key brutal with ease and a little bit of flair. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for getting this far. Oh my God, my voice is... I'm losing my voice. I talk too much. But as always, I appreciate you. Thank you for getting me to 8,000 subs. We're still working. We bought some packs. We're not ready yet. But when I feel like we've got a good show to go on that former free-to-play, we'll call it, account giveaway, we'll have a little fun, open some shards on that, and give it away to a lucky winner. And, yeah, in the meantime, of course, as always, please be kind, be safe. We'll see you in the next video.